And it's okay, it's time to get started. I'm going to turn off my video and start my presentation. Okay, you should be looking at my presentation now. Is that right?
Yes.
Right.
Okay, great, great. All right, so welcome. My name is Zuf Velasco. I'm the membership chair for this year and the coming couple of years as well, I believe. Unless they kick me out, they might. Who knows? But welcome to Membership Day. So this is a little seminar, and it's going to be. It won't be long, I promise you. We may be even out of here early, but I want to make sure that you have the information of something that I found to be very useful for getting a lot of members in quickly with minimal effort, which I think was what a lot of people would like to do. And one of the other side benefits is that once you start doing it, it ends up helping a lot of other aspects of your club, which we'll discuss in a minute. So it's called Membership Day, and we've got a lot to cover. So if you're just joining us, make sure you put your name and your position, if any, on your title there, and also in the chat so that everybody can be introduced. And there's a notes version of this that I've submitted in the chat, and Gilda will resubmit it for the latecomers in a little bit. All right, we're going to go ahead and get started. So a survey was done of Rotarians, and 65% said their number one concern was membership. Membership is really important to us, and it's important to get a lot of new members in new clubs. That's really important, and there's a lot of effort now to start new clubs, a lot of great new ways that have eased the process of doing that. And we all love that, but it's also important to maintain and sustain our traditional clubs. And the traditional clubs are why a lot of us joined. We have our best friends, our best networks in them, and it's really important that we keep those going as well. So this is a specific webinar on that effort. And my name is Zuf Velasco, as I said, and I'll be here for the next 3 years as your membership chair. I'm a Rotarian since 2008, but my first experience with Rotary was in 2000, and it wasn't a good one. And obviously, because I didn't join until 2008. This is one of 4 cultural centers that I ran for LA Cultural Affairs in the harbor area of LA. And one of my board members was the president of the port. And he said, "Oh, you have to join Rotary." And several other people said, "Oh, you have to join Rotary. You guys have to join Rotary." And I said, "Well, what is Rotary?" And nobody would tell me. They'd be like, "Oh, you just have to join. You'll see. Just wait. You just got to join. Just check it out." And I thought that's exactly what they say about cults, that you go to a cult and you just have to join, and then you find out what it is at the back end. And so that worried me. But I did finally end up going to a Rotary Club meeting, and the meeting had a very rubbery chicken dinner, or as lunch, and a wonderful presentation on the exciting world of the byproducts of oil recycling. So I did not have a great experience, and I did not go back for 8 years. And it wasn't until 8 years later that I went back. And when I did go back, I ended up joining the Rotary Club of Fullerton because I was working in Fullerton running a cultural center there. And I joined it specifically for the network. And there's no shame in that, because that's how Paul Harris started Rotary, was for the network. But I was overwhelmed, and it took me about 5 years to really figure out what Rotary was. And by that time, it was my best network and an essential outlet for serving the community. So later on, I was president of the club, and I thought we could make a better experience with minimal effort on how to get people in here. And we started the idea of Membership Day. And in the beginning, it was just a happy hour. And the happy hour was, did okay, but it didn't bring a lot of people in. It brought maybe 1 or 2 people in. And when I left as president, the next president came in and he started what he called the Fun Committee, which was a group of Rotarians in our club that worked on making all of our events more fun. And that combined with the idea of Membership Day really made take off. And when I left the club, we were getting 7 new members each and every, I'm going to admit somebody here. We're getting 7 new members each and every year average just from this one day a year we would do Membership Day. So that's what I want to talk to you a little bit about. How do people find us? So most people were either involved as a young adult in Rotary through Interactor, Rotaractor, RILA, or as a youth. Some seek us out for a business network, and some are invited to our club, and some come to service projects. But honestly, the first 2 of these things, we don't really control. Those are things where people find us. The second 2 are the ones that we control. So as Dennis Franklin will tell you, it's very important that we invite people to come to service projects and to meetings. That is the number one way people are going to find us. And then once we invite them, we have to make sure that they have a good experience when they arrive. So there's a lot of potential reasons why people might lose interest in a club, the club becomes stagnant or loses members. And the first and foremost is the experience people have when they show up. As I said, it took me 8 years to find Rotary again because I had a bad experience when I showed up. So bad food, boring speakers. You'll hear people say things like, no one talks to me. No one looks like me. I'm an outsider. And Gino has a lot of great webinars on this issue with the inclusion program. Members joke about things that are, the jokes are old, they're dated, they may be a little randy or inappropriate for the setting in today. Those things can turn people off. One guy corrals me and won't let me speak to anyone else. This has happened to me when I visit other Rotary clubs where one person just won't let me talk to anybody, and it's very annoying. They don't seem to do very much other than lunch. There's that perception out there that what is the club doing besides having lunch? Nothing. So you got to make sure that people understand what you're doing outside of lunch and that there's a whole club apparatus going on in the background. And then once people join, we have to make sure that they have a good experience. Longtime members resist new ideas, technologies, and younger leadership. That can be a problem. I've had, not just in Rotary, but many organizations where there's an older staid population and new people come in, they'll hear things like, but that's not how we've always done it. Or things like, we tried that before and it doesn't work. Those are the 2 worst things that a group can say to a new member because they're alienating them and they're making them feel like they don't belong and that they're not going to be listened to. And it's possible that you tried something that didn't work 20 years ago, but it might work today and it might work with this people that you have working with you. Maybe it didn't work because of the people doing it. So those are important things to remember. And then leveraging your networks. You know, a lot of Rotaries become stagnant because they don't rely and thrive on partnerships with schools, businesses, faith-based organizations, and nonprofits, all of which are driving in new membership through pipelines. So we got to make sure we keep that. And now we're looking at things like Pecans and the new channels for starting new clubs through these partners. But it's just as important that we use these partners in our existing clubs. And it gives us more events, more visibility, professional circles, and connections to great leadership. And then also just visibility in the community. You know, what are we doing with our website, our email, our social media? And even if we're not doing all of these things, make sure that the things we are doing are done well. I can't tell you how many times I've gone to visit a club and I went to their website and it hasn't been updated since before COVID. You know, that was now 6 years ago. And you'll see a lot of that. So we have to make sure that, you know, you don't have to be the greatest person in the world on social media, but if you have one good channel that you're Instagram or Facebook that you're using, and a website, and you're updating them regularly and talking about your things working, your partnerships, all of this is going to be better. And having a weak onboarding process. Make sure your new members feel connected right away, that they get put on committees, that they have a red badge process and a mentor. Those things are really important. So we got to engage people. So membership day can get many new people in the door quickly, and it can help create an environment where other issues are addressed. Now, some of the things I just talked about are not when somebody joins, but after somebody joins. But the thing is, once you start doing membership day and the membership day takes off in your club, then a lot of other things get fixed because people start caring more about everything as new members are coming in. So since I've joined Rotary, I've brought in 30 new members in my club and others. I started a satellite club for young professionals in 2014, chartered with 18 members. And we created Membership Day as a concept to bring in new people. And routinely, it's brought in at least 7 new members. And I'm going to get into that in a second. But in my club of Altadena, they do a little different take on Membership Day. And I want to make this point because Membership Day doesn't have to always be at a meeting. What Rotary Club of Altadena has done for 28 years is their service project is a summer concert series in the park for people that's free. And we routinely get 700 to 1,000 people every concert. And almost always a dozen people will come up and ask how they can get involved. And we'll invite them to a meeting. So our concert series, which is our service event, is the thing that drives people in to the club. So it becomes our membership day. It's where people see us at our best, doing what we do best, and providing service to the community. So membership day doesn't have to be a club meeting, is my point. Today, I'm a member of the club, and we've added 26 new members in the past 18 months. We regularly add members from our version of Membership Day, which is our service project, our summer concerts in the park. And people, will come up and want to know how they can get involved. But then people started joining us this year for a different reason. And I'm sure you're all familiar with what's going on in Altadena, but this is just, for those of you who don't live in Altadena, this is just a little bit of what happened on January 7th, kind of up close and personal. This is probably the best video of it. And I'm just going to play a couple of minutes so that you can see, kind of feel what it's like to have been in Altadena when the fire happened.
And then just after 6 p.m., 30 miles away, the Eaton fire starts in the hills above Altadena.
Holy. Response time from Fire Station 66 is probably 2 to 3 minutes. Upon arrival, they had a large amount of fire, pushing hard towards the nature center.
By 6:36 p.m., helicopters arrive, but the nearly 100-mile-per-hour winds are so violent that aerial firefighting is quickly grounded.
We're gonna have to shut down water dropping operation.
At 7 p.m., Fire Chief Anthony Maroney begins his drive from Palisades to Altadena.
When I saw it at, 27, 30 miles away, my heart just sunk because I thought, how are we going to respond to this?
Before evacuations have been ordered, residents near Eaton Canyon are already fleeing.
Up there, that looked like a river of lava just flowing down the hill. Like no stopping it. From 6:18 that night till 6 o'clock the next morning, we had continuous 80-mile-an-hour gusts. There's no stopping a fire that's getting pushed by an 80-mile-an-hour gust.
And that's exactly what was happening when I was evacuated. And this is what it looked like the next morning. 55% of our town was gone. And in terms of our club, we lost our clubhouse. We lost the park that I just showed you the picture of, where we did our summer concerts. 18 of our members lost homes, 8 lost businesses, 7 new members came in from the concerts before the fire. 15 have arrived since the fire, with another 3 or 4 in the pipeline right now as we speak. We're getting new members almost every other week. We've got $1 million in grants to the community. Our concerts came back to a different park, and it was the first event back from the fire since the fire was our concerts. And so it was a reunion for people who've been displaced for the last 6 months and not in Altadena. And keep in mind that all the businesses for 6 months had nobody coming because everyone was out of town, displaced by the fire. Even people who still had homes couldn't get back in until the Army Corps was done their work because of the toxic environment. So it was a lot going on. But we, as a club, were rebuilding in the center of the town with grants, going out with a support network. And anyone who's come to our club can tell you that it's like a support group for rebuilding the town and for people who've lost everything. So that has been a key reason why we've grown so much. Mark Twain said the 2 most important days in your life is the day you're born and the day you find out why. And January 7th gave our club just a whole new sense of purpose. And that purpose has translated into a lot of new members and us being kind of at the center of a whole rebuilding effort for a town. So, you know, those are kinds of things that not everybody can do, and not everybody should do or should want to do. But when things happen and you're in the center of it, that's a big driver for help. So again, my point is these things don't have to be at a meeting. They can be at a service project, but it's important to do them. So why do people join? Because of great partnerships, great networks, great community service, and also because they were invited. So it's really important that you invite them. Membership is not rocket science. People want all of these things, and you have to provide it for them. So the concept of membership day is simple. What if you created one meeting a year where you created an experience that was put together specifically for potential new members? And what does that look like? Well, the first thing is you have to pick a date on the calendar for membership day, and it should be a date that you will get a lot of people to come. So you don't want to pick a time around vacations and when a lot of people are out of town. The speaker that day should be a great speaker, and they should be either someone in your club who can talk about what your club is and what it does and what Rotary is all about, or an outside speaker who talks about Rotary in basic terms. An example of that is that I go around to clubs and I give a speech on the history of Rotary and Paul Harris. And it kind of, in 20 minutes, will tell you everything you need to know about what Rotary International is. And some people have used that as a time for their membership day. But it can just be any great speaker from your club talking about things that your club does in the community and why your club exists and why it's important. Next, you have to tell all your members to invite potential members on that particular day. And if they do, they will not be charged for lunch of their guest. The club will pick up the tab for the guest that day. Make sure it's well promoted in the club so that each member is expected to bring a potential member or guest. There's some peer pressure on them to want to do it. And then on the day of the event, make sure that your food is the best food that you can serve. And there's greeters at the door who can connect guests with the president, the membership chair, and maybe other people in the club for whom they might have an affinity. Maybe you get a realtor in and you have a mortgage broker in the club and you connect them up. They probably know each other and have worked together. So those kinds of things. Help them form bonds and a network right off the bat. And make sure that you're getting their contact information as they register. Have them sit with a Rotarian who invites them and encourages them. So that whoever that invited them, make sure that they're sitting with them and encouraging them to relate to the other people at the table. After the meeting is over, this is the most important thing, each prospective member will be contacted by 3 people. The person who invited them, the Rotarian, the club president, and the membership chair will each call them separately and ask them to return. Hey, we enjoyed having you. Please come back. All of that attention on somebody can be very persuasive. Think about how fraternities and sororities work. You know, they have a one day of the year where they rush and people come and check them out, and then they have to follow up, and that follow up and inviting them makes them feel like they want them to be a member. So that's what you're doing. This is basically a club rush. Make sure the subsequent few meetings also have great speakers and greeters and good food, because many of them will return the week or two after they first are invited. We do this each year routinely and get 7 new members from it in my old club in Fullerton. It's been improved as it goes along, and it's improved other meetings. So once we started curating this meeting, people say, hey, you know what? What's stopping us from having better speakers all year long? And so they've put in real effort into getting better speakers and better food and having things that make people from the community want to join us because of the speaker we have is so great. We had, you know, water is a big issue in Orange County, as it is anywhere in Southern California. And we had a speaker who was kind of in charge of the water board come. A lot of outside people came and packed that meeting because they wanted to hear from this particular speaker on water issues. You know, have the city manager come. All of those kinds of things really spark an interest from people outside the club. So all of our meetings got better because of Membership Day. And we saw the value of having greeters, improved speakers, creating an atmosphere like that. And it just kind of bled over into the rest of our meetings. But all you have to do is start out with it once a year. So just kind of reiterating this, it's a curated experience. Each person in your club is expected to bring in one potential member. If they can't think of one person they know who wouldn't make a great Rotarian, they're not hanging out with very good people. You have designated greeters, and those people are trained to make sure that each person meets, each guest meets the president, the membership chair, and anyone in the club who might be related to them in some way, meaning their job. So, you know, like I said, if they're a realtor and you have a mortgage broker, you connect them up. That the food is excellent that day. You're going to make sure that the food is excellent that day. Make sure that you have a great speaker talking about either Rotary or your club and showing off your strengths. And then the 3 times follow-up by the member themselves, the membership chair, and the president. And when somebody's called by the president of the club, it means a lot. So, as I said, when I first started this, my first year when I was president, it wasn't that successful. Because we could only do it as a happy hour. It was only when we put together a committee of people that worked on curating this experience the next year that it really became successful, and became successful every year after that. So, you know, all you need is 3 to 5 people at the club who like to put on events that are your fun committee, and they put on your, you know, they might put on your demotion night, they might put on your anniversary events, whatever. They might help with the service projects, but they would help with Membership Day. It doesn't have to be at a meeting. So when COVID started, my club had a guy who had a factory in town, and he started producing shields for medical professionals for the hospitals. And then everybody wanted them, and the district got into it. And he's now an area executive, Dan Alween. And he started the Shields Project, and everybody got involved with it. And it got into the paper, people from town started coming, and it really swelled our numbers of our club because we were doing something in the same way that we are now with the Altadena fire. We were doing something that needed to be done at a time of crisis, and it had a huge effect. So it could be, Membership Day could be a curated event within a service project. Maybe you make sure that service project has a table where people can come and get information about the club. Maybe it has people on a committee who are wandering around talking to people who are not members and letting them know about the club and when they meet and what we do. And they're trained to know how to talk about that kind of thing with the same talking points. So it could be at a meeting, it could be at a service project, and it could even be at an off-site meeting. So this is a great example of that. And Dennis is here, and I'm sure he can talk about this a little bit. But they decided to do theirs at someone's house as an off-site meeting, and they're in the process of starting a new youth club. And so they had invited people who were potential members for both their club and the youth club. And they had a little talk after dinner there. You know, it was a happy hour with kind of heavy hors d'oeuvres and nachos and things. And then they sat around and talked about it. And it was a very successful event, even made it into the paper. So I'll ask Dennis if he could talk about that in a minute. So make sure it's at the best time for your club. When your leadership is set, you don't want to do it the first meeting of the year. Great speakers with a great program, great food, time when most members can be there. You know, you're going to avoid holidays, vacations. If you have snowbirds, you might want to avoid those times, you know, all of that kind of stuff. The next few meetings are also good, and people follow up. Follow up is really key here. So the members are not paying for the lunches, the club is. Greeters are there and trained, the food, all of that, the networking, the service, the follow-up. And when you're talking about follow-up, making sure all three people are following them up, the president, the membership chair, and the Rotarian who invited them. Invite them back. And then the upcoming service events. If you have something coming up, you can invite them to that as well. If there's a fellowship event, you can invite them to that as well. Really make them feel like they're part of the group. And that is kind of it for me. I'm going to stop sharing here. And are there any questions? And Dennis, do you want to just talk for a second here about a minute or so about what you did with your club with this offsite event?
Sure. What Glendora has been doing, and Glendora's situation is we were a club of 60. We went down to 27 or so. We're now at about 47, and I just sent another application in, so we will be 48 here momentarily. But what we've been doing is exactly what Zoot has laid out. It's that simple, inviting people to whatever it is that we have going. We've made an intentional effort to do that. But what we did, the latest example was what Zoot said at Steve Garrett's house. We had a social where we just invited people and said, we're going to be talking about what Rotary is. And we know that you're involved in the community or that you have expressed interest in service type things or are interested in friendship, whatever it is that their hot button was, and invited them to it and said, would you like to come? We had 21 people show up. So with that 21 people, now we are following up. And basically all we did is we had beer and wine, had some hors d'oeuvres. They schmoozed for about an hour or so, and then we sat down and talked to them about the new Rotaract Club that we just started. And we talked to them about Glendora's main club and what we do and all of the great projects that we do, like you mentioned, showing off what the club has done. So it's very...
Dennis, between your the 21 people who showed up, between your new Rotaract club you're starting and your main club, how many of those do you expect to convert into actual members?
The last time we did this, we ended up with about half of them becoming members. This time, I would think that would be a little optimistic on this one.
Do you think you'll get to about 7 new members from it?
Yeah, I definitely think we'll get 7 new members. I think we pretty much, the ones already had, we had a meeting for the Rotaract where there was 5 people came back to that because they're interested in doing it. So that would be 6 right there. And what's happened from what I've seen in the past is you have to have, and you said this is the key, the follow-up. and you keep dripping on them. We just did a food packaging deal where we had 135 people come and package food for a local food bank. Well, I invited every one of the people who came to this. Hey, we're doing
Nice.
this. And you keep dripping on them. And again, what happens and what I've seen is those half the people that were in our last one that came, it wasn't right away. It was over the course of a year or so. In fact, I got to show you this. This is the coolest. And Sabrina, who's in your club, remember she came to one that we did about a year and a half ago. She wasn't a good fit for us because she lives in your neighborhood. We referred her to you guys. She became one of your members, and from everything I've seen is doing great. But she even sent me a wedding invitation because she appreciates so much the fact that we invited her and showed her what Rotary is about, and now it's such a big part of her life. I thought that was cool. I got that yesterday. That stunned me.
And just so you know, she is now leading a committee in our club for the grants. So she's doing great work. That's great, Dennis. And as you said, you're going to at least get 7 new members out of this. If every club did this, and how many clubs, Gilda, do we have in the district now? 50 some?
53.
53. So if every club did this once a year with minimal effort and some invites and some follow through, and every club got 7 new members, do you know how much that would be for the district? I mean, that would put us in the top districts in the world, that plus the effort of starting new clubs, but this is really key. Gilda, I see you have your hand up. Go ahead.
Yeah, so I just wanted to comment. I'll tell you, right before Dennis's Glendora's event, we spoke that afternoon, and he was a little bit like, I have no idea. I have no idea who's going to show up. That's always the thing, right? When you put on an event, when you put on a party, you invite people, right? You have no idea. And then I saw the pictures and I was like, dang, you guys went to work. So that's always any kind of an event that we plan, whether it's a party that you're hosting at your home, and really think of this as a party, right? You're inviting. And just the fact of inviting and following up, those are huge. I just wanted to share a couple of years ago when I was membership chair in my club. This was actually, we did all of us belong to an area, right? So Edward is with 5 clubs. I'm with 4 clubs: San Marino, Altadena, Pasadena, and South Pass. We did a 4-club event. It was at the local, it was a Brazilian restaurant. I can't think of the name right now. Anyway, we all went to work and all of us invited. We had 24 people show up. Most of them were my guests. It is what it is. But of those 24, we gained 4 in my club. Okay. So, yeah, it does work. The numbers are the numbers. Yeah, it's everything that Zoo talked about. Your service projects, your fundraisers, your socials. I know our 4 clubs just did a Halloween social, and I hope we had guests that were non-Rotarians. I hope so. So I wasn't there, but yeah,
I was there. You had a lot of people show up with guests.
Awesome. Those will convert because they'll see how much fun we are.
I'll share one more quick little anecdote, and then I want to just get some more feedback from you all. But when I was in Fullerton, we started a Rotaract club at Cal State Fullerton, and the guy who started it was the Interact president at a local high school, and he wanted to start this club. It was his idea, and he was the best leader I've ever met. And he was at the time 19 years old when I met him, and his very first meeting, he had pizza for everyone, and his very first meeting, he passed around a baggie with rice in it. And it was a little sandwich baggie with rice in it. And he passed it around, and then he asked everyone, do you guys know what that is? And nobody had. They said, it's a baggie of rice. He says, well, this is what is considered by the US 1 day's rations for anyone on relief in a foreign country. And we're going to pack boxes of rations that's going to go to another country right now. And he pulled out some boxes, and rice and baggies, and they packed boxes. And you better believe that every single person was a guest that day. It was the first meeting to see who would join. 100% of the people that showed up joined the club and stayed in the club because of his leadership. I learned more on leadership from this 19-year-old than almost anyone I've ever met. And almost every meeting, we paid for him to have pizza at the meeting because he said people don't show up if there's not food. And he had a service project for them and games and things every day. He curated his meetings very well. And he had the highest attendance of any Rotaract club. And when he left, unfortunately, the club went down because they just didn't have as dynamic a leader. But what he did is very replicable. Does anyone have any, it doesn't have to be a question. Does anyone have any comments where maybe you've tried this at a club or some version of it, or maybe you've had a terrible experience at a club you want to share as a cautionary tale, whatever you would like to say. And then I promise you, I'm going to get you out here early. We'll be done in 45 minutes today.
Sir Zuf, I
Yes,
would
go
like
ahead.
to, I would like to share something. When actually I really, what you presented right now is really the really actual thing that we are that everyone is doing very successfully in creating more membership. Because actually you mentioned about, number one is in inviting, and number two, of course, a good speaker who can give orientation about the history of Rotary and something like that. Because that's what you said and mentioned a while ago when you say that if you don't know anything, you might be, it will be a hindrance for you to come in. Maybe that's a cult or whatever. So, so there should be, once you invite somebody there, a group membership day or something like that, there should be one speaker who knows everything about Rotary. And that is actually very important. And also, when you mention about follow-ups, and all the business right now is doing is follow-up. Whenever you are doing real estate, where you're doing, insurance thing, when you are doing a healthcare thing, the thing is to get clients is to follow up, not just in the first day. And that is actually, you had your presentation was very accurate, in getting more members. Same thing with Rotaract. So because actually, just with my experience, when I organize organize a Rotaract club, I just ask them, and invite, the advisor of a certain school or somebody who has a lot of friends, just to gather them. And then I will talk to them. First and foremost is the history. What is it? And something like that. Later on, I will ask them, if you are convinced, then we will organize. We'll have an election right away, and then that's it. So it's actually what I did years ago when I was very active in organizing Rotaract Club here in the Philippines. So in one instant, like 1 month before a first district conference, I organized 9 clubs, 9 schools, just because of that, what you are presenting. Their orientation, then after that, follow up right away. If they do, then organize. And if they already had set of officers right away, then that is already the club.
Edward, I see that Larry Berlin is here. Larry, can you unmute? Larry? Maybe he's not near his computer. He's in the aerospace club. Was that the club that you helped start, Edward? The aerospace club?
Yes.
Yeah.
With John
So,
and Larry.
I would love to hear Larry's experience of how he came about joining the club, but I don't think he's near his
January
computer.
is also here. She can share. I see she
Oh,
unmuted.
good.
Yeah, I learned about the Rotary Club of Aerospace Valley because I'm also part of CERT, the Community Emergency Response Team, and we did a training at the Children's Center of the Antelope Valley, and then 4 members of the Rotary Club of Aerospace Valley attended the training. and they're Filipinos, and I'm also Filipino. And they said, "Oh, are you Filipino?" I'm like, "Yes, I'm Filipino." "Oh, would you like to join one of our meetings?" And I'm like, "Meeting for what?" "Oh, we're part of the Rotary. We just built a new club called the Rotary Club of Aerospace Valley." And then they told me, would you like to join one of our meetings? We're gonna have a meeting on this day. And I'm like, at first I was, skeptical, because my perception of the Rotary is like, oh, they're all for old people.
Yes, of
And
course.
then because when I was in the Philippines, it's like for businessmen, old people kind of thing. So I'm like, okay. Then I said, okay, I'll they gave me the date, and then I went, and then what I like is the camaraderie within the club, because we're all Filipinos. So
Did somebody follow up with you after the meeting?
Yes, yes, but right there and then, I was already, my mind is already made up.
You were in.
I'm going,
Yeah, good.
yes, I
'Cause
was.
it
I
wasn't-
was in. I was hooked.
Because you went to a meeting and it wasn't what you expected, and you liked what you got, what you
Yes,
saw.
yes, I liked it. I liked it. And
Okay, I
then
see.
because I also have a sense of serving the community, I think that's my, my calling.
Nice,
So, and it's
nice.
part of uncertainty. And then I'm like, oh, so Rotary is this. This is also what I want to do.
Nice.
So this is my community. So okay, I'm in.
Bonita, I see you
And
have
then
your
they
hand
followed
up.
up- and then they followed up again with me. Are you sure you want to join? I'm like, yes, I'm in. Okay, I gave
Good.
my membership right away, my membership fee, and I'm like, okay.
And she's
Awesome.
been a great member from what I could see.
Oh, thank you.
Bonita, I see
I'm
you have your
here.
hand up. Did you have something you wanted to add?
Yes. So we had during membership month, we had a meeting that was for membership, and they asked me to speak. And I did it an interactive meeting, and I had a whiteboard up, and I started off saying, what are the traits of a good Rotarian? And everybody was shouting out answers, and I was writing it down. And I said, how many people do you know that have these traits? And we had papers on the table, and we had them write down the names of the people they could think of that would make good Rotarians that had those traits. And then we talked about why they joined Rotary, and that piece of paper I put on the wall. And then I wrote, why they became, why they joined Rotary, and then another one, why they stayed. And we talked about being visibly Rotarian, wearing your Rotary pin, any business meeting you're at, anything like that, being very visibly Rotarian. And then people will go, oh, what's that pin? And it gives you an opportunity to talk and invite somebody to a meeting. And then I talked about retention, and I said, it is all of our responsibility. It's not membership's responsibility. It is all of our responsibility for retention. I said, these are the reasons you guys stayed in this club. When we bring a new person in, we have to make sure they have these things too. You need to talk to them. You need to, invite them. You need to, and everybody got really pumped up at the meeting. And we actually got a few new applications from it. For membership that we've followed up on. We've already added 2 new Rotarians from that. But I think involving the whole club and reminding them that membership is about all of us, not just this one committee. It's the whole
Nice.
club's responsibility, and it was really well received. And so if you haven't done something like that, I really encourage you guys to do that, because it worked really well in our club, and it really kind of pumped people up.
Nice. So yeah, and membership day is just a way to do that in a very curated way that makes it easy for everyone to follow. Larry, I see you now, and I see you're driving. Keep your hand on the wheel, Larry. Geez. Did you want to chime in?
I do. I put in my 2 cents. I spent 26 years in the Air Force. So as a young airman, we were told that we need to do our work above service above self, excellence in all we do, and all these core values. So I'm used to doing your best and bending over backwards. So I'm used to that. That's the standard, nothing less than outstanding. So on top of that, you have to go to school and you have to volunteer and read these books to the second graders, things like that. So, and you're also voluntold to do things. So they tell me to do things, and I said, man, 26 years of being voluntold. So now I'm done with the Air Force, and I got voluntold by Mr. Duterte to join the Rotary.
Well, thank you. Thanks for chiming in, Larry. And thank you, Edward, for all you do starting that club up and you know all the things you do. He's an important part of our membership team. And I see Betty's on here. She's an important part of our membership team as well, as is Gino, who does so much in Nevada for us. But I hope you all have enjoyed this. I hope you have great things you can take back to your club, and you've all gotten the handout. I saw that Gilda reposted it. Thank you all for coming. I won't hold you up, but we'll be doing another one of these on January 9th with Dennis Franklin, our district governor-elect, and he'll be talking about some things very important to him about membership. So I hope you'll come back on January 9th and hear from Dennis. We'll do another one in March and another one in May. Every 2 months, we hope to have these little webinars on different aspects of membership. So come back and join us. There's also the new channels is an ongoing thing on people wanting to start new clubs with Pecans, and you can get connected to that through Gilda's emails. I'm sure you all get them. Thank you all for coming. Have a great rest of your week. And if anybody has any other questions or comments, you could stay on. I'll stay as long as needed.
Thank you.
Great job.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Zoot. Thank you for
Thank you,
everybody for being
guys.
here. We will email you what was shared in the chat because some people couldn't download your PDF. So we'll email those with the recording.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Did anybody want to stick around and have another question or comment or something that they needed to get straight?
I put our membership plan in the chat. If anybody wants to do it, they have a plug and play.
Oh, good. Thank you.
Membership plan that they could use.
Thank you for that. Well, I hope this has been helpful for you, and take it back to your club and talk about it. If we can get every club to do this, Gilda and Dennis in the next 2 years will be the most popular district governors in the planet.
We hope.
And
From your mouth to the universe.
Bye-bye, guys. I have to sleep now.
Thank you, Edward.
I have to
go
sleep.
back to sleep,
Go back to
Edward.
sleep. Go to sleep.
Yeah, thank you. Bye-bye.
He's in the Philippines. Go back to sleep. It's 1:30 in the morning, 2 in the morning now. Luciano, thank you for coming.
Yeah, I did have one question.
Sure.
Other than Rotarian members, how do you advertise and notify the community when you're going to have one of these membership days?
You know, I'll tell you what works for me as a nonprofit executive and consultant is strategic partnerships. If your club is partnered with churches and partnered with mosques and temples and nonprofits and businesses and senior centers, then you should have an email list. You know who's really great at this is San Juan Capistrano Club. They have, I think, about 30,000 on their constant contact email list. And they put out a newsletter every week to their email list with news and information. That is a great way for any club to do it. And that's more public image than membership. But I find having a constant contact weekly email about news and information is very useful. And what's great is you don't want to send out an email every day. And Gilda, close your ears because I know you love your emails, but you don't want to send out an email every day because it can be overwhelming. But if you put everything in one email once a week as a newsletter,
and then it's a long email that nobody will read.
No, actually, you know what? I did some research on that. I get more positive feedback on a long newsletter email than on a short one.
Wait. Let me ask you, did you read that long highlighter?
I did actually.
Really?
I did.
Most people will not go and read that highlighter. Everybody was like, "Oh my God, it was so long."
I tend to, not with you, but with others, when I get multiple emails over a week, I tend to block them after a while because it's just too much.
Bye.
But one is good. So to answer your question, that's my feedback is do it through your partners. Bye, January. Thanks for coming.
Thank you, January.
Very well. Thank you, Zoot. That was a very informative presentation.
Yeah, well done.
Thanks.
Simple.
Looking
Yeah,
forward to
simple's,
January 9th.
simple's best sometimes.
So, yeah,
And-
no,
and
it was
for-
good. It was chock full of information that a lot of people like. One of the questions is, we tell people everybody should invite, but there are members that are never going to invite. Never.
Yeah.
You can't, they're just set in their ways. And so,
But like Dennis said, like we had at Fullerton, we had 100 members in our club, just over. And we would get about 30 people invited to the membership day. We'd end up with 7 new members every time.
mhm.
And 20 to 30, you get 20 to 30 invited, you'll end up with about 7 new members.
Yeah, and Luciano, what we did to get those 21 people, again, this is not rocket science at all. If you go in your contact lists on your phone and say who would be a good Rotarian, and I tend to, oh, maybe not, this guy might not be it. Well, then I thought to myself, I don't want to say no for that person. So I just sent him a text. Hey, Luciano, we're doing this thing over at Steve Garrett's house on such and such. Would you like to come? And tell them what we're doing. And that is the most effective thing that I know to do. But what we then saw as we have been inviting people, the thing is now other people, because you're absolutely right. There's some people who are never going to invite anybody. That's what's going to happen. But my club, nobody was inviting anybody. And I think that's true for a lot of clubs. And we had a core group that started doing the invitations, and now we're starting to see more people inviting people because they're seeing the results thereof. And of course, we get up and say we invited them. This is how we did it. Next time, we encourage them for the next time. But it was that core group, and now we're starting to see it bleed where that's starting to become more and more normal, where before we didn't do that, and that's why we went from 60 to 27.
Good.